Yes, Mr. Ongom. Anyone to define for us that term, what is assessment? Because we are going to assess. But before asking, what do you assess? How do you assess? Whom do you assess? When do you assess? What is assessment? Any idea? You can okay type and I read. Yes, please. Kaziwe, Mr. Kaziwe. It Mr. Yes, assessment. Come again, assessment. Assessment is assessment is any form of defining the learning outcome, whether test, yeah, any form it can be. Thank you, Mr. Derek. My messages aren't opening. I want to read the messages here. Okay, assessment, as you have contributed, in simple terms, assessment it's just the systematic way of finding out what learners know, what learners can do, what learners are unable to carry out, okay, to assess. Are you together? Then why do you assess? Okay, teachers in the knowledge-based curriculum, though it's called the old curriculum, but it's just the knowledge-based curriculum. Why? Because when we set papers, we were just assessing to find out, do these learners know this topic? Do they know how to like do this and this using the knowledge? Are you together? But in the CBC, they are going to assess for the cognitive domain, which is the knowledge, and also the psychomotor domain, which involves the use of the hands. Are you together? So, in assessment, we have formative assessment, types of assessment under the CBC. We have the formative assessment, we have the summative assessment, and we have the end of cycle assessment. There are three, the types, okay? But under the formative assessment, it's divided into three. It's divided into further three types of or examples of it, okay? The first example, it's assessment for learning, assessment as learning, then assessment of learning, okay? So the formative assessment, it's the one which consists of the activities of integration. Are you together? But before we go to an activity of integration, if I say assessment for learning, you are going to find out what these learners know directly. So assessment for learning, it's carried out during the teaching and learning process. Are you together? Like we're teaching, you have given a scenario, then you try to ask, then they reply there, and then you are assessing them according to me. I don't know how you defined it according to you. So you'll come in to rectify where I go wrong. Are we together? So assessment for learning, it occurs, or you, a facilitator, you carry it out during the teaching and learning process. You ask questions, they answer. You give activities, they contribute. Are you together? There you are carrying out assessment for learning. As they contribute from answers, you can come in to guide them so that they can arrive at correct answers. Then we have assessment as learning. Assessment as learning here, you are going to involve the learners of the CBC in groups, okay? They discuss these activities you have given out with their group members, okay? They come up with the final answers or the final products, okay? As they do that, you are assessing them to see whether in their groups can they discuss to break down the subject matter or to find solutions to the problems given. That is assessment as learning. Then we have assessment of learning. Then assessment of learning is also just in form of an activity of integration, but it's an end of chapter assessment. If I say an end of chapter assessment, I mean like at the end of every topic, okay? You as a facilitator, you're going to assess these learners to find out, is the desired learning outcome, are the desired learning outcomes achieved? Is the competency achieved? For example, like every topic, it tests for a single competency. So at the end of every topic, you're going to carry out assessment of learning. And those topics, they are well stipulated in the syllabus book. Are you together? So you follow this syllabus book, you see the theme, then the topic. If you complete the topic, you have to assess these learners to find out are the desired learning outcomes achieved. The learning outcomes, they are there also in the syllabus book. That is assessment of learning. So assessment of learning, it's just an end of chapter or an end of topic assessment, which is an activity of integration. Now here, it's going to require we teachers to carry out like effective record keeping. If you don't keep the marks well, they will get lost. You put them in the computer. So you have to like over to be with your book, or if the school provides, you record those activities of integration. Remember, they contribute to end of cycle assessment, the 80%. So the 20% will be school-based assessment, okay? And also the activities of integration are very essential. So at the end of every topic, you must give an activity, okay, for all learners. So you have to create learners names, then activity 1, activity 2, like that in the theme and in the topics. Are you together? So if you do that, you are carrying out assessment of learning, which is an activity of integration. If I say an activity is just a task. Are you together? Any task you do is an activity. For example, if I go and I carry out building, or I like mix sand, I'm doing an activity. Are you together? But if we come back to class, if I ask a question, okay, I'm giving these learners an activity. But if we say an activity of integration, the word integration, okay, to integrate, it means like to bring in different concepts from different areas. You bring in the knowledge, you bring in the skills, you bring in everywhere. Are you together? So as they do that, they are doing an activity of integration. It's testing for the knowledge. It will be an activity testing for the skills,